Hello again, everybody. Gary Ferman and Matt Shodell here, and today we are talking about an interesting topic. Will the Miami Hurricanes have a 1,000-yard rusher in year one of the Shannon Dawson offense? And this is a really interesting topic. I'm going to tell you why. You think Shannon Dawson, you think air raid. He is a disciple of the air raid system. He is considered one of the better coaches in the country at executing the air raid system. But Mario Cristobal did not bring Shannon Dawson to Miami to throw the ball every single play. Mario Cristobal believes in physical, pound them, smash them in the face football. That is how you win championships. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't want the phenomenal air raid passing game. He does. But this is actually going to be a hybrid form of the air raid because Dawson uses the spread concepts of the air raid passing game, but he also knows how to work a power run game into the mix. And that's what excited Mario Cristobal about hiring him. That is what they will be trying to accomplish at Miami. So Matt, anybody that thinks that Miami's going to be throwing the ball every single play, if we see that, it will mean that things have broken down on the 2023 season because for example, as Houston's offensive coordinator the past 2 years, Dawson had a team that ran the ball 53% of the time. That's more than half in 2021. So, like, he believes in the run game and he wants to be able to use it. Now the question is going to be, is Miami strong enough on the offensive front to run the ball effectively the way Cristobal and Dawson will want to? And then once we get past that question, as we continue on this conversation here, it is going to be, is there a running back capable of emerging as a 1,000-yard runner? So let me toss it to you. And with those thoughts in mind, take it from there. Your thoughts.
There will not be a 1,000-yard rusher.
There probably won't be.
No, so listen, here's why. I mean,
not sharing the rock.
So there's everyone thinks that 1,000-yard rusher is this holy grail. You have this amazing running back who's just crushing it. But in reality, Miami ran for 1,000 yards, well over 1,000 yards last season. It's just a bunch of guys did it, and their running game was terrible. So just because one guy gets 1,000 yards, if nobody else gets any yards, that's a terrible year. So people shouldn't be. I know the headline is, will they have a 1,000-yard rusher? Like, don't focus on that. Like, just because I'm forced to write this story, don't focus on that. That's not what's important. And if you look at what Shannon Dawson did,
you're telling me, don't focus on whether Miami gets a 1,000-yard rusher. When we created the story, we threw the subject out there for conversation, we are filming this video on the subject of whether Miami's going to have a 1,000-yard rusher. And you're saying, don't worry about all that.
Yeah, I'd encourage everybody to not read the story, but I will say that at Houston, the last 2 years, it was a running back by committee, and the running game was quite good at Houston the last 2 years, and the offense was very prolific. Just for an example, I think, here I have the reps. Okay, so here are the reps played by the top 3 running backs, not the top 2 running backs, okay? The top 3 running backs last year. The number 1 running back had played 297 reps. The number 2 guy played 277 reps, and the number 3 guy played 264 reps. Now, I don't know if Shannon Dawson, had an Apple Watch that said, okay, this guy now has 8 reps. Let's get the other guy 8 reps, but that's as even a rep count as you're ever going to find. He might have broken a record for 3 backs within the smallest amount of rep difference in the history of the NCAA. That's how good Shannon Dawson is and how accurate his Apple Watch is. And I think it's going to be similar this year because I don't think, Henry Parrish is the returning starter, but he's not a every down back. He's a guy who should be in a rotation. I think Christopher Johnson's speed, you got to get him on the field in some situations. So he'll play a little bit. I don't think he'll be in the same rep count as, say, Henry Parrish, but Mark Fletcher should be. Ajay Allen very well might be because he's a power back and Mario loves power backs and he could get those 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 3rd and 2 yards for you. So I could see Allen, Fletcher, and Parrish all having these similar rep counts. Dawson's already shown that that's what he prefers to do. It's at Southern Miss, right? The last time he was offensive coordinator before Houston, he was at Southern Miss. They happen to have an NFL level back at Southern Miss, which at Southern Miss is unusual. So the 2 years that guy was there, he was the featured back, of course, because if a guy's head and shoulders of everybody else, you're not going to not put him on the field when you have him, right? I mean, if you have Frank Gore and Gary Ferman, Frank Gore's getting the reps, okay, period. So that's what they had at Southern Miss. But the year before, I'm sorry, the last year he was at Southern Miss after this NFL back, I think it was Ito Smith after he graduated. In 2018, they had their top back ran for 494 yards, and the backup ran for 318. Those were the top two guys playing similar reps. So again, Shannon Dawson has shown when there's no clear leader in the running backs room and head and shoulders above in the leaders in the running backs room, he will go with this approach. I don't like it because I feel very strongly that the best running backs in college football and in the NFL, they tend to wear down a defense and get better and get stronger. And so for whatever reason, they just seem more effective as the game goes along. Like you'll see these big, strong backs maybe not have a great first quarter or second quarter, but in the third and fourth quarters, they can basically run you to victory at the end of the game. They wear down a defense. And I don't know if it's just they feel more in the flow of a game the more you play. I'm a baseball guy, so maybe it's similar to like, a pinch hitter or even a DH sometimes who isn't in the field, just not in the flow. A pinch hitter who hits 300, that's a great pinch hitter. That's all he does. I remember when I was young, there was a guy on the Phillies. What was his name? Unser? I can't remember his last name, but he was like the greatest pinch hitter, like of his era. All he did was pinch hit. He never played. He just pinch hit, and he hit like 318 one year, and everyone was like, "Wow, he's the greatest pinch hitter ever." There's something to be said for feeling like you're in a flow and feeling like you're in a rhythm, and you sort of can recognize the more you're in a game, recognize what the defense is doing, how fast this linebacker is to the ball, what the tendency is of the will or whatever it is. These guys recognize it. Whereas if you're constantly coming in and out and playing a series here and a series there, I really feel strongly that there's a benefit, aside from getting hurt, which is possible if you play too many reps, but I think there's a benefit to a strong, fast back getting 20 carries a game, 25 carries a game, instead of getting 10 carries and two other guys getting 10 carries. That's just how I feel about it.
All right, so if that is going to happen on the 2023 Miami Hurricanes, I think we probably would agree that it would mean that Mark Fletcher busts out, really impresses everybody, and they feel comfortable giving him the rock a lot. And to me, he's the only guy that, could possibly handle that physically and could possibly emerge as a 1,000-yard back. I see Parrish and the Jay Allen as complementary guys. Don Chaney sitting over there, always available. I don't see Christopher Johnson doing a ton here.
And by the way, I didn't mention Don Chaney. For his fans, the reason I don't mention him is he was healthy in the spring and he never elevated to first team, even for a practice that I saw, above Henry Parrish. That's why I didn't mention Don Chaney. But yeah, could Don Chaney break out? I guess.
If they were like overly enthralled there, I don't know that they go out and get a Jay Allen. It's like, by going out and get a Jay Allen in the transfer portal, that's kind of like a statement that we feel we need more at running back. So I got to believe he's going to be in the mix. So we'll see how this plays out. This is a very fluid situation, a very fluid position. But, we've seen, as we said earlier, we've seen Shannon Dawson go in multiple directions with this. And, I think Matt's right in that he's more likely going to want to split the reps almost evenly the way he did last year at Houston. But in 2021, he had no problem having Alton McCaskill carry the show, ran for 961 yards with 16 touchdowns.
Yeah, but the backup had 513 yards and 7 touchdowns in 336 reps. McCaskill played 478 reps. The other guy played 336. So that's like a 60-40. That's a 59-41 split.
Yeah, that's not that different. Yeah.
No.
So, but I think if anyone has the potential to get to 1,000 because of the workload that he's capable of taking, it would probably be Mark Fletcher. So a lot to be determined here moving forward. We'll see how this evolves and what happens as the season unfolds. If you like the show, like our YouTube channel, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It helps us with the algorithms at YouTube and growing our audience. And more so than anything, if you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please rush on over, get your subscription in place. Your subscriptions allow us to do what we do every single day. So for Matt Shodell, very well behaved today, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time, everybody.